It says, Vayeshev Yisrael Bashitim. The Jewish people settled in a place called Shittim. Vayochel ha'am lisnois el bnois Moav. The nation started to do znus, commit adultery with the daughters of Moav. So the Gemara brings down, Gemara in Sanhedrin, page 106, brings down two opinions. Rabbi Eliezer says, Omar Rabbi Elazar, Vayeshev Yisrael Bashitim, Shittim Shema. The name of the place is called Shittim. Why the Torah doesn't tell me where they did it? I don't know. Vayeshev Bashitim. But the Targum Yonasef ben Uziel and Rabbi Yoshua says, Rabbi Yoshua Imer, Sho'osku b'mai se shtus. They were busy in business of stupidity. I'm going to read the Targum Yonasef ben Uziel. He says, Ve'yasav Yisrael be'asra. The Jewish people sat in a place, the Ave Mitkere, which is called Shittim. Why it's called Shittim? Al Shtusa, and stupidity, the Kilkula and destruction, the Ave Be'on, that it was done by them. Ushriu Amo lo ifoso kedushosayu. The Jewish people destroyed, permitted, went away, they took away the Kedusha. Ulenifa garmeyon letoisofo, the Bo'oir, and to open the bones for a judgment of Baal Peor, ulemitayo bosar bnos Moav, and to stray away after the daughters of Moav. The mafken yastoisfayo the Peor metuse piskeyon. They took the idol of Peor between the legs, and they made sure that they worship idols. So Rashi brings down, what is Liz noise as Nois Moav? Al Yedei Atzas Bilom. The Gemara then Sanhedrin says, Bilom gave an advice to Balak to take the girls of Nois Moav and cause them to stray away and to have a Zor and Znus. And Hashem hates that, or that will be the destruction of the Jewish people. But the Ramban in the Orach Chaim, we'll start with the Ramban says that although the Gemara says, and Rashi, it was through the advice of Bilam, ube'emes sha'aznus hazeh lo hoyo mizimas hanoshim. This znus was not from the desire of the women. Ki be'atzas ansheim ugdaleim naso. Was an advice of the leaders and the big people was being done. And that's what the Torah says, which means the girls were not there, hot girls, and they were looking to do averes. Was the advice of the leaders that pushed them to do so. And it's possible. It was Eitzo Bilam, was the head of them, and his mind was to destroy the Jewish people. So he says, since Bilam was the head of the advisors, and he had in mind to destroy the Jewish people, and he did it with all his energy and his ability, so that's why they killed him. But the Ramban says, why is mentioning only Bilam and not the advice of the leaders of Midian, the elders of Midian? And why the Torah didn't mention the Eitzah here? Only later on it said that was their advice. When they came to kill them, it says they killed them because of their advice. Why here the Torah doesn't mention nothing about the advice? It just says they sat in Shittim and they did a Maaseh Shtus and they started running after the girls. Why it doesn't say that Bilam and the elders of Midian did all this for them? They only mention after the story in the time of the revenge. The Torah speaks about the whole story, that they are the advisors. And it mentions from where the bad came out. So Lichoiro is to say, don't think that the whole story started because men and women have desire. Arayos, and that was a party there, and the young guys went to the party, and the young girls came to the party. No, that's not the story. V'yoyma ki lo ya ma'aseh b'yetzer hazim asher hu ba'anoshim u'ba'anoshim minurei b'tivom. It's by men and women, boys and girls, and the young youth for part of their nature. No. Rak eitzoro la'adicho was a bad advice to push them away. That's why it's right to have a big revenge against those who gave the advice. But the point of Shittim is just a place. And that's what they made advice. They advised them to set it up, and the whole setup was a setup, and the whole cause is not because fire of youth, of men and women, rather was with the advice of the elders. This is the Rambam. But the Rachaim HaKodosh, he brings the Targum Yonos, and he brings the opinion of Rabbi Yoshua. She'osku b'maaseh shtus. What it says, Vayeshev Yisrael b'Shittim. The Jewish people sat in Shittim. Shittim is not a place which called Shittim. Shittim is called in the name of the shtus, stupidity. So the Rachaim HaKodesh says as follows. Tzorich lodas. You need to understand ma tzorich bodas ma'amar zeh. Why the Torah has to tell us where they sat in Shittim. Raboseinu hiru bozeh v'omru ki lo ydiacha ki bo ki ze sibo leznus. The cause of this znus was lefi sha'amokoi mitivoi lo'oyer teva taiva beinis. It's very important. There is a place called a place. The place is a reasoning from the nature of the place to arouse the nature of the desire of the animalistic desire of people. Venir leforesh, and he wants to say she'akosuv ya'id sibas haznus. The Torah comes to tell us the reasoning of this news. What's the siba? What's the source of all this? So the reason was that the nation went out to a trip. Yatzu l'tayel. Chutz le'machane Israel, outside of the boundaries of the clouds of glory of the Jewish people. Veshom there, nimtzu b'lo Yisrael, outside of the clouds of glory was the daughters of Moab. V'uomo, vayeshev Yisrael b'Shittim. The Jewish people sat in Shittim Pirush, b'mokom she'im metayni b'chutz ha'machaneim, the place where they used to take trips outside of the camps. V'Shittim uloshon tiyulim. Shittim is from the language of trips. Tiyul, you know what's the word tiyul? A trip. Kedei Jehovah shotu am, the nation went out and they traveled and they took a trip outside to look for the manna. Shatu am, they look for the manna. Uperesh Rashi there says, what is shait? And shait eloshon tiyul. And that was the reason vayocholom liznos. Loshon chilul shenischal liznos lefi shezonu achel lo yinecho. Okay. So what's going on? Who is to blame? The Torah Ramban has a whole discussion. Why the Torah only when the revenge came, only then they shoved the story that the Bilam and the elders are the ones that gave the advice. Don't think it's because of the nature, but now you're saying no. Shittim is the cause of all that. They sat in a place means they went out of the place. Sat means they went out of the clouds of glory of Machane. They went to a trip, and they went to an area which is, how do they call it? The rainbows, free love, an area where is nature's l'oira taiva beins. And what caused all this? The Jewish people sat in a place and start traveling around, taking trips in the areas, and those areas which is nature, the places nature to bring znus, to arouse the znus. It says that Dina bat Leah went out to see to see the daughters of the land. And Chazal says, Vateitze Dina bat Leah is Yatzonis bas Yatzonis. The fact she went out to visit the girls of this country, and then she fell into the trap, because the daughter of a Jewish daughter has to be at home. Called Kvoida bas Melech Prima. She went out. The winning out, the breaking the fence, a little bit of breaking the rules, going out of the fence, that's what caused all the trouble of Dinah. And how it started, the root was because her mother, Leah, was Yatzonis. So, in the depths and the midah came from the mother, but really the daughter broke away the normal fence of the Jewish people. You don't go and visit the girls. The girls, only girls with girls. No men around. But no, she went out, somebody saw her. A lot of times I see guys in the Asper Yeshiva or the Israelis on Shabbos night. I say, where are you going? I see them, taking Harinim. They're going to a Sivuv. They say, where do you go? I'm going to the Rova, to the square of the Rova. What is there to see in the square of Rova? You can see the buildings here, more beautiful buildings here. Why are you laughing? Because everyone knows the answer. The truth, they cheating themselves. Why are they going out? They're just going out to talk. A walk where? Tiyul, right, Shlomo? It's a fake out. They're taking out themselves. They're cheating themselves. Right? They're going to talk with friends. They're going to meet my friends, somebody Torah, and Bigas Torah, from this and that. No. And they want the girls to look at them from the side, and so they're looking for ways. That's the problem. So really, Vayesh Yisrael Bashitim, Vayochelom Lisnois, it started from breaking the rules, going out of the camp and going to a trip when you know in that area is more znus. But who prepared the reality that when they went out to prepare znus is Bilam and Ziknei Midian prepared it. So really comes out according to this that really there's to blame both. The Torah in the first Ma'aseh doesn't talk about the Midianites and Bilam, because if the Jewish people wouldn't go out of the camp, wouldn't start the problem. So who's to blame? Shem or the Dinah that she broke away from the rules and she went out of the house? Both to blame. So in the Ma'aseh Vateitze Dinah went out, and then Shem did a very bad thing. With the advice or with his Yetzirah. Same thing is here. It started, the Jewish people went out, you don't go to trip to areas where it's dangerous. You don't go, I'm going to a trip, I'm going to take a sivuv, a walk to the, to the kotel, to the square of the Rova. Going out to the square, there's girls at night. Who goes there tonight? What are you going there for? It's dangerous. Go to the Besmedesh. Take a walk to the Besmedesh. Or walk in the Besmedesh. Or there's 3 Besmedesh or 4 Besmedesh now. So walk from one Besmedesh to another Besmedesh. One that can walk. When you start making a walk, and then boys get into fight, you hear Rabbi Gavriel, you get into fight, and one goes to the hospital and in jail. What are you walking for? You're going into trouble. They went to Shittim and started walking to a trip to the wrong areas. So it means in somewhere down deep, they wanted to be in that position. By breaking from the boundaries of the clouds of glory, and they went to a trip, back in their mind, they go, this area is a mood area, so you're going to enter trouble. So obviously the girls, they were all prepared, ba'atzas, with the advice of the leaders. But you shouldn't have left your camp to start with. And they prepared the wrong thing. They're there to be blamed when the time of a war. We gain revenge because they're the ones preparing themselves to destroy us. But also the Jewish people were to be blamed. And that was a plague. 24,000 Jews died in the Magev. And they killed 150,000 Jews. 78,000 Roshei Sanhedrin, each one killed 2. Ish ba'anoshov is 150 plus 24 is 174,000 Jews got killed there. Why? When you go out to a trip, when they go to a trip, 150,000, we go to a trip, just stay home. Be in the clouds of glory. Don't break the boundaries. There is a famous movie, they show it to seminaries in Israel. It's a movie for women. It's a kosher movie. They show it in seminaries in Israel. It's called Pirza Bagader. Pirza Bagader. Very famous movie for many years. Means they show, this is a movie that shows the scenery is a family in small little shtetl town, and some family is very poor, and the father died, and an aunt comes and she wants to take the girl to Petersburg, and she started becoming very modern, and she went to university, and now the daughter became unreligious, and at the end of the story she comes back to religion. But the whole story starts, there was a Pirza Bagader, it was a little broken piece in the fence and the railing. That's all it started. That's why the Haredi people, I'm saying the Haredi, because sometimes you feel the Haredi people want to choke you. Oh, the men have to be far away, and the women have to be far away, and have to be a big screen. No, why? Why they go crazy? Adarabah. They learned the lesson that when you're light and be a man and be adult, and have the men here and the women here, they can see each other, talk to each other a little bit, and a little bit what's wrong. I mean, that's not dancing. They're supposed to dance together, not dancing. Only talk a little bit. You have all that in it, no, especially in American crowds. And Adarabah, they can't handle the Haredi. Everything is shut down. Women on freedom. What happens? The trouble that it causes them. That the children which have physical desires in nature, once they learn there's a little bit of crack in the fence, how many problems no communities there is. The children, girls get pregnant before they marry. Problems, stories from here to heaven. So the Haredi run away from that. They learn a lesson. When they say no, boundaries. Yerad Yaakov, boundaries. Who are we? Haredi. We're afraid that if you break in a fence, you can cause a lot of trouble. True, mitzad adin, or as an adult, you already have a wife, this and that, you will calm down. Okay, so you're being balanced. But to prevent so many problems from the unbalanced part of the community, the Haredim learned from that for many years, and they did all those boundaries. And they're very strong not to have any pirza, any little bit of hole in a railing they got there. Because that pirza at the end of it can cause a lot of trouble. Can you look on the internet? Can you look on movies? Movies are good at education. But what happens, you start opening and you have a machine in your house and there's internet, the kosher, your kids start watching not kosher, there's no end of it. As an adult, you need for parnos, or there's information. If you know how to use it right, it's a good thing to have. It's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. But as a Haredi community, they go against it. Why? Because the unbalanced people, when you have to train them, chinuch kids, etc., they're unbalanced and they use the pirza and they come to a very, very, very far-edged situation that they hurt themselves and the whole community. It's proven. It's very important to know this. So really, it started with Pirza Bagode by the Jewish people. Vayeshevam beshitim, shitim in travel, tiulim, going out of the boundaries of the clouds of glory. Then Vayochel Lizno's whole trouble started because the Jewish people grow. Also the Binyanim, when they came to revenge, they were very running because they'd all planned it. They prepared themselves for that thing. But it started from, let's take a trip to the Rover Square at night. That's where it started. Breaking up the boundaries. It's very serious. It's very, very, very serious. Hashem shall help us. We're able to do chinuch for ourselves and chinuch for our families and children and win and make them healthy, balanced, and open the Hashem balance. Amen. לפיכך, עיר מולם תלו למען חובץ המען צדקנו תירוב וידין